Hello, and welcome back to Spooky Town Tales. It's been a while. We're a bit rusty, but welcome back. Spooky Town Tales, Season 2, Episode something, but I'll make sure I write it.
It's a bit corroded on. It's been a long time.
It's been a while, and I do apologise, but life got the better of us.
I reckon it's been about 2.5 to 3 months.
It has been months. It's been months. Have you missed us?
Crap. That's a long time.
Crap. It is a long time. It is. But Christmas is over.
Yeah.
New Year's is over.
Yeah.
Back to school is over. Moving house is still happening.
Easter's
eventually.
not over yet.
Easter's coming,
Yep.
but I'll push through Easter. We'll be right. I've been missing having that spookiness in my life. Have you been missing the spook?
I have.
I have.
I have missed hanging out with you. I've seen you lots, but not spoken with you.
Just seen a ginger flurry.
My own ginger
The back
ghost.
of my hair. Ginger ghost. I smelled you in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I've been smelling you a lot.
Yeah, well. I leave trails.
You sure do. We always know when Jimmy gets home. Your presence is known.
Never forgotten.
We're back tonight, and we're going to kick off with some creepy men.
Oh, they're all creepy.
I found a theme as I've been saving stories and weird things that I've been finding, and I found a theme, and there's so many just bizarro encounters with creepy men-like things.
Oh.
They might be men, they might not be men. Some of them are actually humans, though, just weird, creepy humans that I've got in store for you today. It's going to be pretty weird.
Nice.
You'll probably be left going, what the fuck just
Well, humans
happened?
are always weird.
Humans,
They never...
humans are weirder than monsters.
Yeah, they never cease to amaze me.
Yeah, it's constant. Anyway, so welcome back. Are you comfortable? It's stormy outside.
It is.
It is. Perfect weather to listen to us speaking through your radio. Or wherever it is you listen. So light a candle, create some mood, listen to the sultry sounds of my voice and Jimmy's.
No, don't listen to mine. They're not sultry at all.
It'll make your knees quiver, folks.
Like nails on a chalkboard.
Pour yourself a drink, get comfortable, and prepare to be spooked. Now you'll have to forgive the shambolicness of the following story because my notes are in 4 dimensions, it would seem.
Oh, that's your notes.
That's my notes.
Wow.
So I wanted to start the evening with a story that's always given me the mega creeps
Yes.
because a few people claimed to see this man. So not a spectre or a monster or whatever, but a man. He even had a name, which he told these individuals.
Oh,
His name was Indrid Cole.
really?
Have you heard of Indrid Cole?
No, I have not.
Have you heard of the Mothman?
Yes, you showed me the Mothman.
The Mothman.
Creepy
Well,
shit that is.
Creepy shit. And apparently there's been a massive resurgence of Mothman sightings lately in the same area.
Really?
Which I believe is West Virginia.
Yeah.
So around the time of Mothman,
You said that was in
when-
like the 60s or something, didn't you?
it was in the 60s.
Yeah.
Was it 60s? Yeah, 60s. In West Virginia, people started seeing this man called Indrid Cole.
Mm-hmm.
And the way it came about was he was always beside, like on the side of these back roads. and he's standing there. And what was striking about it was he was in a very shiny... Everyone always described him as being very well dressed.
Oh, okay.
So he's very out of place
Yeah.
in the middle of like these back roads of West Virginia.
Yep.
He was always accompanied by UFO sightings.
Okay.
So it's another weird thing.
Yeah.
And it was all correlating with Mothman, this back in the 60s when it all happened. It was all tied in. But he became known as the Grinning Man because apparently he never broke a smile.
Really?
A really big, eerie smile. He'd just look at you and he'd keep talking. Or sometimes they said he even spoke without speaking, so you could hear what he was saying, but his mouth wasn't moving. It was almost like telepathy or something.
That's weird.
But not only like adults saw him, children saw him. Imagine driving down the road.
Pretty weird.
And he always approached the car. There was always lights or something strange in the sky that stopped people. And then they'd see this man on the side of the road.
Whoa.
So it goes completely, like you can delve into a rabbit hole with this guy, Indrid Cole, but I'm just going to go into the basics. He was human-like. He was over 6 feet tall. He always wore a reflective dark green suit. He had beady eyes that were quite set far apart, so quite wide on his face.
Like a goldfish.
He had very large, very wide set eyes. No nose.
Well, that would have been a bit of a giveaway at some point.
Maybe it's Voldemort.
Yeah, possibly.
No one really noticed ears or hair, and he had quite a dark complexion.
So just Voldemort.
Well, Voldemort's very pale. Very, very pale.
Well,
anyway.
You and your specifics. It's only the exact opposite.
Anyway, some boys saw... So one of the first sightings was some young boys saw this man, but he was in a blue suit this time, a blue reflective-ish sort of metallic suit.
Right.
Walking on 4th Street, they saw this figure standing near a fence. As they walked closer, the man turned around and had a huge grin, which frightened the boys, who then bolted away.
Yep.
And were chased by the man.
Oh.
So that's one of the first sightings. They then went home, told their parents. Parents told the police.
Yeah.
Strange man out on this road, whatever.
Smiling at people and chasing them.
Thinking it might be a predator.
Yeah.
Then there was... So that was in October 1966. The boys saw him. The next one is pretty intense. So a man by the name of Woodrow... He was driving home, and then an unidentified vehicle of sorts landed in front of his truck. So that's what stopped him. It's like, what the hell? You see light, stopped his truck. Looked like an old Kero chimney.
Really?
That's his description.
Whoa.
Yep. He watched as a man exited the craft. He came to the side of the car and began talking. And obviously, he's just, okay, maybe it's some sort of military. There's a man there. And the man walked to the car, just wind his window down. Everything okay there, sir?
Is there a problem, officer?
Has your spaceship broken down? I got a wrench in the back. So this poor old bugger says this man told him his name was Indrid Cole and that he meant no harm. And he wanted to know more about the human race.
Right.
So, obviously...
Interesting way to start a conversation.
No, I know. It sounds completely nuts. And I totally think maybe this guy was asleep at the wheel or he's had some kind of... This is my logical brain.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's more that was said.
Okay, so big conversation.
Big conversation, which was relayed when Woodrow got home.
Yep.
Didn't realise his daughter was awake.
Okay.
And came in the house apparently very shaken up. The wife remembers him coming in looking terrified.
Yeah.
And explaining what he'd seen. The daughter was listening, who's been interviewed and relayed everything she heard of that evening.
Yeah.
Apparently he claimed he was from another planet.
Right.
This man, this Indrid Cole. Planet Hanulus. At that same time, in Point Pleasant, the Lilly family started reporting poltergeist-like activity. They kept seeing diamond-shaped lights. The daughter woke up one night to a man standing over her, a big man, and she couldn't see his face, but she could see he was grinning.
Really?
So this was happening nearby.
Yeah.
So this is another whole family had all this happening.
Yeah.
They may have been the neighbours from memory. So the Lilies, I believe, were the Derenberger,
Yeah.
were their neighbours. So the Derenbergers were Woodrow's family.
Yeah.
So not only are the Derenbergers, there we go.
Yeah.
How could I forget burger?
I don't know.
So not only is the Derenberger family that he's come home having met this weird man on the road claiming to be from another planet
Yeah.
in a weird ship, but the neighbours next door are having weird activity and a weird man was
That's really weird.
in her room. The little girls come through and said this. So it all correlates, which is very scary and
Especially
very, very
in the
weird.
same area, like that close together, but not close enough to be, I don't know, story swapping.
Yeah. Now, this is where it gets even weirder. Woodrow would disappear for weeks at a time
Right.
and then come home, and he'd claim he would have been taken by these men.
Okay.
And so everyone's like, well, maybe it's mental illness. Maybe he's
as
wandering
it would.
off somewhere.
Yeah.
He even claimed there was 2 other men that named themselves Nemo Hassan and Carl Ardo. Sometimes he'd return from where he'd been with no recollection of where he had been.
Yeah.
And then he'd claim other times he'd have great descriptive stories to tell about this planet that he'd been to.
Yeah.
So, for me, maybe that's just shock. Like, maybe he has got post-traumatic.
Yeah. Maybe it's kicked his brain into.
Yeah, I don't know. It's all very, very strange. The skeptic in me says it was maybe a big prank.
Pretty elaborate,
but it's the 60s.
Yeah, there was some pretty
There was
interesting
some
stuff
pretty
going
big
on
stuff.
in the 60s.
There was some very elaborate pranks that went on in the 60s. And
Yeah.
as we mentioned before with other UFO things,
Yeah.
it was the space age. It was
Big time.
the time where they discovered, it was the space race rather.
Yeah. So
God
everyone
knows. UFOs were in all the horror movies,
Yeah.
spacemen. So I don't know. It's very odd.
It is.
It's odd that multiple people saw it. It's odd that multiple people had weird things at the same time. And then shortly after, in Point Pleasant, well, it all correlates.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have Mothman and all these other weird things going on.
Yeah.
Could it be something in the water?
Oh, stranger things have happened. Certainly have. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, like you say, if that's all around the same time as the Mothman, then
The Mothman's one that still baffles people.
yeah.
Because of the sheer volume of
Yeah,
reported cases to the police.
I find that one pretty intense.
We will do the Mothman
Yeah.
in future weeks
That is a good one.
because it is a good one.
Yeah.
It's pretty intense. But yeah, what's your theories on this grinning man? Write in if you've ever seen a weirdo on the side of the highway. If you do, don't pull over.
There's lots of people that are grinning.
Yeah. Don't pull over if you see a grinning man on the side of the highway
Yeah.
or see a Mothman. Just keep going. Pretend you didn't see it at all.
No need to talk to them.
No. Now, as a segue, just a little touch. I don't have a lot of information on this, but I do remember reading about the smiling man. I think I told you about this, that there was some children that were going to a therapist. A therapist had recalled he'd had...
You told me about this.
Yes. There'd been children going in... Now, this is modern day, so this isn't in the 60s. So it's unrelated, but it's related. Once I've told you the story, you'll go, ooh.
Yeah.
One of his patients would draw a picture of this big man with a big smiley, huge big smile, and talked about him all the time. And they just assumed...
A child therapist.
A child therapist.
Yeah.
Assumed it was just an imaginary friend.
Yeah.
And then had another patient who also talked about the smiling man. They all called him the smiling man.
Yeah.
And it worked out to be about 5 of his patients all reported seeing this man come into their room.
Yeah.
So much so, I believe they got the therapist. I'm pretty sure they reported it.
Yeah.
Just to make sure it wasn't a predator, a child predator that was dealing with it. The scariest bit was none of these 5 kids or however many, I think it even might have been up upwards of 8 kids.
Yeah, I thought it was more than that when you were telling me, because it was, just a lot of kids. And I remember you saying that they did actually have to report it. Like, legally, he said, no, I've got to
Yeah, because there were other things the kids had said that matched.
Yeah.
In the things that he did.
Yeah.
So she'd reported it, and the scariest bit was it couldn't be a case of kids making up a story together, because the kids that had reported, the ones that she was treating that was all related, were all homeschooled.
Yeah.
So they didn't go to a school. They didn't all hang out together.
Yeah. Yep.
So very, very weird.
That was totally weird.
So is there a weird grinning man that's come back after...
Or is it an alien?
Or is it aliens? And they kind of look weird because they don't know how to be human.
Stranger things could be.
Make sure you smile. Smiles are a sign of friendliness.
Talk without moving your mouth.
Oh my God. Talk about creepy. Anyway, have you ever looked out your bedroom window and seen a grinning man? Write in your story. Sweet dreams. So now that we've gas-bagged some more, it's time for some spooky ghost stories. Some Australian spooky ghost stories. Sadly, East Coast. Well, I believe one is East Coast, one may very well be West Coast, but I'm pretty sure they're both East Coast. Either way, we're in Australia. We're back in Oz. Back in Australia. So this first one, I've been looking online trying to find, as we're in the process of buying our house that we want, our dream house.
Yes.
And, obviously, when you're buying a house, you walk into it, you get a vibe. You either get a good vibe or a bad vibe.
Yes.
And usually, most of it's to do with decor, whatever. But then there's those of us who get other feelings, and you walk in and you can feel whether it's going to be a nice place to live or it's going to be a horrendous shithole place to live.
Have bad energies.
Basically, you either feel whether there's demons in there or no demons.
Yeah.
Well,
fair enough.
You got to check for these things.
It's important.
When you're house hunting, guys, always make sure
there's no demons.
There's no demons or devils or just or brujas hiding in the cupboards.
Yep.
You got to check this stuff out. So I thought it would be appropriate, given that we are right in the ball sack of buying a house.
Whoa. I don't know that's how you measured them.
We're deep in it, right in it, face planted.
Come on, keep a straight face after that one.
Okay. So we're drowning in it right now. And yes, it's a very important thing. We've looked at many houses where we have felt many different vibes from many different houses. So I thought it'd be appropriate to look for if there were any real estate agents that have put stories up.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Given that, tons of... You can imagine how many houses a year
would have a weird feeling.
Well, that you'd have to go into when there's no one there.
Yep.
And hang out in. There's bound to be stories. So there are. Ooh. I found a couple. I've only got a couple for tonight, but I'll be dropping them in here and there as we go on our house buying journey. I thought it would be fun.
Good idea.
Yeah. So these first two stories, ghost stories, are my favourite type because they come from a skeptic, so someone who just doesn't believe at all.
Right.
But who has shared these stories just because she's like, well...
Two stories. Like the house.
What?
Bad joke. Dad joke puns. Good one.
What? I don't get it.
Your first two stories.
Oh! Oh, very good.
Only a dad would pick that up.
Only a dad would pick that up. Two-story house. My God. This one ain't no bungalow. Oh, God.
Now you've got
We've just lost, 10 listeners we still had. They've gone.
Thanks for joining us.
It was nice knowing you. Thanks, Jimmy. You wrecked everything. Anyway, so they come from... this is a real estate agent, and these are two weird stories she can't explain. Mm-hmm. Please hold back from the dad jokes. Thank you, Jimmy.
I am.
I'm an ardent believer in the paranormal, but I sold a big mansion once that had quite a colourful past. It included a cellar, and my assistant swore she saw a girl just fleetingly.
Because
I
haven't done much fleetling in my life.
Haven't you? I'm very good at fleetling, actually. It's a type of dance, didn't you know? So she saw a girl just fleetingly sitting inside in a blue dress. But no one matching that description had entered the property. So this is someone that's her assistant's coming in. Oh, there's a girl in the house.
Yeah.
Another woman walked into the entrance hall at an open and stopped and said, "There's an entity in here," and just left and didn't finish the inspection. She's like, "Nope."
Nope.
Like I said, you get a vibe. Nope, there's a demon. See ya.
Don't want no demon mansion.
No demon. No, sir. You can keep your Diablo. I also had a couple of other people come through who were nervous about the house. It took 18 months to sell, but when it finally did, the vendor told me his 2 daughters had some girlfriends over one night and they'd all reported seeing a young girl sitting on one of the beds.
Whoa.
So that's her first story. So as a non-believer, she's like, bit too coincidental.
Yeah.
How do I rule all these people saying weird shit about this house?
I suppose you'd get that too. You get a lot of different people coming through. Some who could pick up on things and some who couldn't.
And if they all are saying something.
Yeah.
My favourite's the woman who just walked in and said, "There's an entity in here. Goodbye."
Not for me.
Adios. The next story, she was selling a deceased estate in the western suburbs. And apparently the lady who had lived there was a respected academic. I was ordered by the solicitor to remove all the personal belongings from the home and was arranging a lot of books to be taken to the dump when I picked up an old Oxford dictionary. It had no value, but I thought to myself, this shouldn't go to the dump. I'm going to rescue it. Right at that moment, there was an enormous bang. It wasn't a windy day. I walked through the house and checked the door screen, but there was no explanation for this noise.
Oh.
So, I mean, that could be anything. What are you wiping off my face?
I think you've got some of the ink off there on your snozzle.
My printer just diarrheaed all over the... It's the only way to describe it. It's got a runny bottom. It's destroyed my printout. So, hence, there's big scooges over half this text.
Sorry,
that's why I'm stuttering a little.
You got it on your nose. I'm just trying to help you there.
They call me Inky Face.
Yeah. Oh.
Haven't you seen it's the latest trend?
No, I did not know.
In Milan and Paris.
Sorry, as you were.
Is this scaring you? Probably not.
Not anymore. I totally destroyed it.
Again.
This sounds
You're
like...
fired. Hello, folks. I'm currently now hiring for a co-host of Spooky Town Tales. If you're interested, get in touch with me. Goodbye. Okay. Now that Jimmy's finished rubbing the indiscretions off my face, the printer diarrhea off my face, otherwise known as ink.
Ew, gross.
Ow. We'll carry on and try and scare you, but I don't think you're very scared this episode. The last story might. No, actually no. But let's just try with this one.
Okay.
I once moved into an unusually large, incredibly old 3-story terrace in Newcastle. There was only one other occupant on the top floor, myself in the middle, and the lower level was uninhibited and sat in a blanket of dust. Both myself and my housemate worked a lot, so seldom saw each other. But pretty early on I started to feel like I had other company. I would hear constant footsteps below me, which then escalated to sounds of someone running up and down the hall. During the middle of the night, I would hear sprinting up and down the stairs, which were next to my room. Some nights it became so loud I would jump out of bed. Sure, there was a kid loose in the house playing a trick on me. So I would get up and walk around, text my housemate to see if she was home, but she would reply and say that she wasn't. I started to even investigate the downstairs area, but the dust was completely unmarked. About 3 weeks in, I started seeing a guy who would occasionally stay at my house. One night, as we were sleeping, he bolted awake screaming after hearing similar sounds. He jumped up and shone his phone light down the stairs, but there was no one there. It was a terrifying reminder that I wasn't going crazy, but it was also one of the last times he would stay over. After 3 months of what felt like sleepless nights, I saw my housemate out at a bar and confronted her about my issues. I thought she would look at me like I was stupid, but instead she said, "Yeah, so I didn't want to tell you because I really, really needed to pay the rent, but the house is haunted and your room is supposedly the worst." Needless to say, I moved out a fortnight later.
Wow.
So that was in Newcastle.
That's a good one.
Yep. I can relate to living in a haunted share house.
Yeah.
and hearing running down the stairs when everyone's out and rustling. Oh,
that's crazy. That was a good one.
That is a good one. Have you ever moved into a rental, maybe during your university years or just your young years?
Had footsteps that weren't there.
And heard weird noises and had your roommate go, oh, sorry, I didn't tell you.
Gave you the haunted one.
Oh, that's why they did satanic rituals and summoned Beelzebub himself.
Gonna have to charge a double rent because there's always someone else in your room too.
Yeah, there's 2 people staying in there, sucked in. You know. If you've got any stories about shitty sharehouse situations, even just like creepy behaviour, that too is something I'm interested in. I'm interested in anything a bit odd and unusual.
Bring on the oddities.
Because I myself am odd and unusual.
It's better than being the norm.
It's better than being boring, I reckon.
Yeah.
Speaking of odd and unusual, this last story is wild. Now, bringing it back, I've briefly touched on some Aboriginal folklore in the show, and I'm going to be delving more into that in coming episodes. But one of the biggest ones that from people I've spoken to, both Indigenous and non-Indigenous, who have been raised in particularly rural areas in WA, have said one of the things they were scared of the most was the Kadachi man or Kadacha man.
Yeah.
And I believe I've spoken to someone who talked about Featherfoot before.
Yeah,
which
I remember. That was a good
it's
one.
all the same sort of thing. It's all tied in. I believe the Featherfoot wasn't actually a live man.
Yeah, that
more
was
of
the one
a
that
spirit
was,
or a ghost.
That was the one
running
at the
along
distance,
the field,
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was kept the same.
Kept the same distance.
So that's more of like a supernatural thing.
Yeah.
But the Kadachi man were actually in tribes. It was a physical person.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in a tribe, like a shaman, who lived amongst the people, but was the one that would be called upon to punish guilty parties.
Right.
Yeah, so it was a physical, actual, real person, like a witch doctor or a shaman.
Yep.
But the Featherfoot, I believe, is like the undead version of.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? It's like a super otherworldly, supernatural
version
type of. Because when you read the description, it's the same exact thing.
Yeah.
They're like an assassin who comes to basically kill people who have done the wrong thing.
Yeah.
But the scariest bit, which is why people are so scared, because the whole point of them, they would strap their feet with hair and feathers.
Right.
And they'd only come out at night.
Okay.
And you couldn't hear them.
Because of their feet.
Because of their feet. They'd tiptoe. And the point of it, I'll read what I found out.
They're sneaky creepers.
So they were used in the ritual of death. They'd be willed to basically carry out the ritual of bone pointing.
Right.
And what bone pointing is, basically they would sing a particular song to a victim while staring at the victim and pointing a bone at them. And once that happened, you were fucked, basically. It was like a curse in the Indigenous culture.
You've been hexed on.
You've been hexed. But like there's also, as most towns and things, there's other people have seen this and seen that. And, you know, if there's already in a culture there's someone who does that,
then it generally gets blown up.
Then you've got like Featherfoot, which is someone that just kills you for fun or whatever. And it doesn't matter if you're not the appointed victim. If you get in his way, you're going to get...
Bam, bam.
He's going to get you. So basically, in Indigenous culture, there's no such thing as natural death.
Right.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, anyone that's listening. But from what I've read, all deaths are considered to be a result of evil spirits, spells, or other... Basically, someone bad has done something to cause it. Like they've willed it.
Really?
Kind of a thing. This is back in the old.
But still,
traditional culture, no such thing as a natural death.
Really?
So if someone was dying, they would then whisper the name of the person they think's responsible. And if that person was known, there'd be like a hearing that would occur with the elders.
Yeah.
And then if they believed it and there was evidence that it was true and they confessed to it, they would summon the Kuradachi man, who would then perform the ritual of cursing
Really?
you. And then you'd be like, you're guilty, pa.
Whoa, that's pretty cool.
Now, the scientific side of all of this is obviously it's psychological.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
people would die straight after, like within days of him doing this to them.
Yeah.
Or she. I think there were even female Kurodachi men.
Yeah.
But basically, the victims once were so convinced it was real
Yeah.
that they would just fall to the ground, be apathetic, refuse food and water, and would obviously naturally would die within 2 days.
Yeah.
2 to 3 days.
Wow.
Because they would, in their heads,
So
go,
you
I'm
would
cursed.
Properly psychologically war for
Fucked,
him.
basically, yeah.
Whoa.
And it happened all the time. Which is why people are so scared of the Kurodachi man.
Wow. That's crazy.
And so if you're brought up in that culture, you can imagine how fucking terrifying it would be.
Proper scared.
Some scary man, wrapped feet.
Yeah.
You can't hear him coming. All he's got to do is sing a song and point at you, and you're going to die within 3 days. Because they would see people dying around them that have had this happen.
Whoa.
Not to mention, what if someone just said, they killed me?
Oh, I know.
And they're like dying of cancer,
Yeah.
or they've been speared by a friend by accident when they're hunting, or maybe they've just had a heart attack or something, and they can point to someone and go,
Absolutely.
I did it. And then this man comes and curses you, and you
Whoa.
believe it so much that you die.
But you know what I can see out of all this?
What?
Kids.
Yeah.
Oh, imagine how much you could screw up your friends with
Oh,
that.
man. You could totally mess with
You
it.
just got to learn a really creepy song and...
Yeah.
and
Oh, man, yeah. But if people survived, they basically said that the Kurodachi man was crap. Like, well, you're no good at it. You did the ritual wrong. You got to do it again.
Bepiel.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's known as a psychosomatic death. So it's an emotional response. In other sort of cultures, it's called voodoo death. So same thing happens in voodoo.
Okay, yeah.
If you believe it enough, you can basically kill yourself through...
Through lack of eating and...
Yeah, you can tell yourself that you're cursed and
It's too late for you.
switch off and go, this is it.
Yeah.
So that's what used to happen
Wow.
back in the day. So obviously folklore, urban legends have all evolved from the root of this. So this is the actual thing.
Yeah.
But obviously there's people that believe there are these darker
Yeah.
creatures that still exist, evil spirits
Yeah.
that are out there.
Cool.
So when people are camping,
Yeah, of course.
or, you know, and
Good.
they've especially my friends that are my Indigenous mates said that every time they're fucking terrified. And it's one of the things, there's so many stories they've heard from uncles and things that are told around the campfire of something out there.
Just enough to freak you out.
You find a bone outside
Yeah.
you know, all these things.
Gotta stay.
We have enough in Australia. Like, it's funny because there is a lot of stuff in America, a lot of what media that we see
Yeah.
is basically based, a lot of it, I say this to the girls, our culture, Australian culture after the war,
Yeah.
took pretty much everything we could from the US because we were strongly influenced by them
course.
after the war because of their involvement here.
Absolutely.
And so naturally, all of our media, all of our movies, TV shows, everything you watch, even Australian-made ones, are so Americanised.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that a lot of the horror movies and scary stories, I know that I find a lot more American stuff than I can of Australian. But when you look deep into our culture, especially Indigenous culture,
They've got some pretty
there is
cool
some
stuff.
scary, scary stuff.
Yeah.
Including the woman who I met with, who's a local Wiccan.
Yeah.
She said she's terrified of what lies on her land because
Yeah.
she doesn't understand it. So where she sort of has a grasp on European ghosts and things, and she even does like ghost hunts and what are they called? Blesses houses of people who she goes and gets rid of ghosts and things.
Yeah.
You know, believe what you will, but that's what she does.
Yeah.
And she seems to help people.
Yeah. No, always it's your own. You got to do what works for you.
But she's even admitted she doesn't know what it is. She lives out somewhere near here, but with a lot of land.
Yeah.
And she said she doesn't go out in her yard at night because it scares her too much. Because the land, she said she can feel something's there.
Yeah.
She's had seen weird stuff she doesn't know what it is. Her husband's seen weird shit. They can't explain it. She can't pick up on, because she picks up on energies and things like that. She says, I don't know what it is, but it scares the shit out of me, so I just stay inside.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's pretty
Have
crazy.
any of you out there got scary stories of the Kurodachi man or the Featherfoot or anything along those lines? Because I've had a few friends have told me that was one of the things that scared them most growing up in like wheat belt sort of area. Are there any from the southwest that you've heard of out there listening?
That'd be cool.
I'd love to hear any of the southwest ones. I do know there's been reports of weird monkey-like creatures with red eyes.
Whoa.
That
that's right.
in like the Northcliffe,
down Northcliffe Pemberton
down Northcliffe Pemberton way, and that's just people, everyday people doing their job, logging and stuff, and working down there. Have seen weird little
bits and bobs.
Yeah. What is it called? What's the name for them?
Sorry, I got no help to you on this one. I know it's right on the tip of my tongue, but I cannot.
Yeah, I know what they're called. Damn it. But anyway, that's another Aboriginal folklore.
Yeah, it was.
That completely describes what these people were seeing. Daytime too. So some of them were seen in nighttime, some were seen in daytime.
Yeah.
So if you've got any weird creatures or anything, any weird stories that you've had in the southwest region or even anywhere, I don't care.
Please send them in. Please
send them in. We're running a little dry, but I am digging some stuff out. I'm stirring up the water again, but I'd love to hear from you. And I really, really, really want to hear some stories from truck drivers out there. If there's anyone listening that does long-haul truck driving or any kind of overnight driving or long-distance driving, even if you've been on a like cross-country holiday and you're doing night driving, I know there's people have seen some weird stuff, and I want to hear what you've seen out there on those highways and those back roads.
Yep.
Write your stories in. You can write them in at the Southern Paranormal page, or if you prefer, you can email me directly at audreybramble@mail.com, and I'll be checking my inbox to see if there's any spooky stories that you're sharing with me.
Any of your goodies?
Any of the goodies. The spookier, the better. We want ghost stories, monster stories, anything at all, psychic stories, weird dreams, weird feelings, coincidences, strange characters in your town, anything at all. We'd like to hear them. Thanks for coming back and checking out the latest episode. It's a bit higgledy-piggledy. It's my standard mishmash of just weird stuff. I will get back to themed episodes. I'd like to do one on werewolves. So there'll be that coming up.
And the truckers one.
A truckers one. Really want to do one about weird stuff on the highways.
Yep.
So if you've got a story from the road, please send it my way.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear from you. You can send it, either direct message me on the Facebook page, Southern Paranormal, or you can email it directly to me at audreybramble@mail.com. AUDREYBRAMBLE@mail.com. That's my direct email. Chuck them on through. Any stories you got, I'll take them.
Yep. Send them in.
And make sure you have a spookerific weekend. And if you see any goblins and ghouls out there, say hi from me. And hi from Jimmy.
Yes, definitely hi from me.
And make sure you tell me about your story. Until next time, folks, stay creepy.
Bye.